Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Bud Churchward, WB7FHC, and in this video I want to show you the latest project I've been working on. It's this guy. This is a Raspberry Pi with a UDRC board on top. That's an amateur radio board for doing digital things on ham radio. Kind of cool. I decided I'd like to build a laser cut acrylic case to hold my UDRC and my Raspberry Pi. Stick around. I'll show you how it goes together. I've been asked to make these cases available to other hams, and I have. Maybe you're watching this video because you've ordered one and now it's time to put it together. There's two parts to this video. In the first part, we will assemble the case, and you can see exactly how it goes together. The second part of the video is pretty important, so don't skip it. I want to take the time to show you how to disassemble this case. That's much trickier. I don't want you to be disappointed and maybe break some of these tiny tabs that hold it together. One of the neat things about this case is that it goes together nice and solid. There isn't a drop of glue or a single screw anywhere. When you get your case, it's going to come in a plastic bag like this. You can open it up and a bunch of parts inside. You'll notice here that I've got this wire and connectors. We'll set these aside for now and talk about what we can do with those in another video. But here's the case parts right here. You'll notice that some of these case parts have a protective backing on them. You'll need to just get a hold of that edge and peel this off of the back. Just like so. It'll peel off. And this one is one of the clear cases. Do that to all of the pieces, and then we'll start putting them together. Now that we have all the protective backing peeled off our parts, let's take a look at them one by one and see what they are. First of all, this part right here is the bottom of our case. You'll notice that it has two tabs on one side and a single tab on the other. This piece is the top. It's very similar in shape. These two pieces are the sides of the Raspberry Pi. We have holes here for the connectors on both the Raspberry Pi and the UDRC. The opposite side has just a single slot, which will receive the bottom of the case. Next, we have two ends. These ends give us access here to the USB connectors and the Ethernet connector on the Raspberry Pi, and this end has a notch also to give us access to the memory card. This special T shape right here is what's going to lock the entire case together when it's finished. You will also find two small pieces. These small pieces are probably not something that you will use. They go together to form a key like this one here. This is a stacking key, and it allows us to stack multiple cases one on top of each other. It locks them together and holds them in place. Before you start assembling the case, I recommend that you put the UDRC onto the Raspberry Pi and have it ready to go. If you're going to use the optional kit that we include for the DC power connections, I recommend that you stop right now and find the video on installing these parts and do that installation before you assemble the case. If you put the whole thing together and then you have to take the case back apart in order to install these things, you will need to work very, very carefully. It's much more difficult to take this case apart than it is to put it together, as you'll see. But don't fear, I will show you how to take it apart. So I'm going to install the UDRC to the Raspberry Pi. Notice that I have attached the standoffs here that were provided by Northwest Digital that came with the UDRC. So we'll attach it, have it ready to go and just set it off to the side for now. The first two pieces we're going to put together are the bottom and the side that has all the holes for the various connectors. You'll notice here that I have two tabs on this edge, one long one and one short one. There are slots on the side piece that match those. I did that so that there's really only one way you can put these two pieces together. You can't get it wrong. Once you have those two pieces together, take your Raspberry Pi and set it in place. You can line it up and you'll see that everything fits neatly into this space. Holding it together, take the other side and attach it as well. Now this one can go two different ways. So you want to be sure that this notch that you see here on this edge matches the same notch on this one over here, that you haven't taken this piece and turned it around. The next piece we're going to add is what I call the USB end. It has 3 rectangles cut in it. 2 of them are taller. Those will go over the USB connections. The shorter one will go over the internet connection. So we take this, we line these up just like this, slide these tabs carefully into the holes there. Once they're in, they're all in all the way, you just push this down. If you set it on a table, push it down, it'll go right into place. And already our case is starting to look pretty solid. Now I think it's important to note at this point that as you put these pieces together, you want to be sure that you maintain an even plane here, that you don't allow any of the parts to twist or bind. If this piece was to be put on kind of tilted like this, you will easily break these tabs off the sides of the case. It's just like opening beer with a bottle opener. They'll pop right off. So keep everything lined up as you work. Now if something does chip off, don't worry. Notice that there are 4 tabs on each end. Even if one does break off on here, there's still 3 holding the case together firmly. You'll probably be okay. And if you do something a little more catastrophic, a little bit of crazy glue will solve your problems. Don't worry. Okay, back to the assembly. Notice that there are 3 tabs on this end of the top. There's one here in the center. This tab is going to go over the USB connectors on the Raspberry Pi. Take a look at the tabs at the other end though. There is a wide tab here and a narrow tab there. Make sure that you have lined your case up this way. When we go to put the top on the case, you will notice that one side has a narrow slot here and the other side has a longer slot there. Those will line up with the narrow and wide tabs on the top of the case. So we set this down in here and it slides in like this. Now when it comes time to get this last tab to go in there, you'll need to just do some minor adjusting to your case so that those pieces will line up and go together. A little bit of pressure here and it will slide right in. So now the top of the case is in position. We've got the tab through the piece here above the USB connectors. We have one more piece to install. The last piece we install is what I call the T-end. It has to do with this particular shape in here. We might take a moment to explain why that shape is there. This cut that you see down both sides of the T is designed to give this part of the case a little bit of flexibility. We are going to actually see the acrylic bend slightly as it goes on to the final case. The piece that we're working with here appears to be symmetrical, so it looks like it doesn't matter which side you put it on. But when you go to put this on your case, if you find that it doesn't want to fit very well over those tabs. It may be that all you have to do is turn it around, and it will. Why is that? Well, it surprised us completely, but it has to do with the way the laser cutter works. The light from the laser beam passes through a glass lens before it cuts through the acrylic. But that beam of light is actually a cone, and it means that the rectangles that you see here for the tabs on one side of the acrylic are slightly larger than the same rectangle on the opposite side. So if when you're putting this together it seems tight and it doesn't want to go together, just turn it around and try it from the other direction. So when we put this piece in, we'll set it in, keep it straight as it goes. As you squeeze this together, make sure that you press only the edges. You'll notice that the T will stay bowed out. Then set the case down, press down, and the T will come in over those last two tiny tabs, and your case is assembled and solid. Okay, we've got the case together. Well, what if you need to take it apart? Let's take a look at that. You'll notice here, as we look at this T end here, that there are two tabs that come through slots. That locks everything together, so you can't push this T part off. But if you bend this T slightly, and I'll try to get the camera where you can see it, you can bend the T out just far enough that it clears those tabs. We press the tab on the T out and then bring the end up. Once we're past those tabs, we simply take the bottom of this end and roll it up and off. With that piece off, we'll slide the top out, swing it around, bring the USB end up, slide the bottom of it off, and everything pretty much falls right apart. Again, be careful here that you don't twist this in any way, or we'll break the tab up there just like a bottle opener. So let's just get it off here. And our case is taken apart. Now, if your project involves more than one of these kits, say you have two of these that you want to stack together, that's something you can easily do. We start with that little key that I was telling you about earlier. Assemble it and then place it in to the top of your lower case. It'll snap right in. Then take the upper case and the same key snaps into the bottom of the upper case. Just like that. Now you have stacked cases handy for your project. If you'd like to order one of these cases for your own UDRC and Raspberry Pi, check the links in the description below and links in the video to find out how you can do that. I'd be happy to send one your way. And speaking of clicking links and things, those of us that provide YouTube content for you really appreciate it when you click like and subscribe. See you next time.